Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Your Keys to Mastery for September 22nd, 2022 to September 24th, 2022. If you are new here and just joining me, welcome. My name is Arlene Grace, and I am a spiritual coach, an alchemist, numerologist, and conscious channel. Okay, so I also invite you to take whatever resonates for you and leave the rest behind and allow yourself to be open. Allow yourself to receive the information, the frequency, and allow yourself to discern as it's coming through, right? Discern what is true for you. And so as we come into today's energy, I was just feeling into it. And many times, if you've been watching me, I get songs and the lyrics just play in my mind. And the song that was coming through was Take My Breath Away by Berlin. And it's fascinating because if you watched last Monday's video, we were talking about the shame that binds you. And here we're moving through this journey about shame and where we might shame others, where we might use it to be manipulated or to manipulate, to control our experience. And the lyrics that really popped up is, watching every motion on my lover's foolish game. On the ocean, finally lovers know no shame. And so really, this isn't just speaking about lovers. This is speaking about our relationship to ourselves, our relationship to who could be a lover, to our children, to our family, our mom, dad, to our business partners, etc. Right? Because we are in relationship to ourselves first, then others. And that in this awareness of, oh, shoot, I may be shaming myself because I decided to take a 2-hour nap because my body needed it. I decided to shame myself or judge myself because I was really wanting to have this body to look a certain way. And so I was shaming myself into controlling it to go to the gym. Right. Or I was shaming myself because I was saying that I didn't know enough. And so I was holding myself to showing up in the world as the true expression of me, which really is the energy for today. The energy of today is 2 of clubs, 1. And I want to say it's interesting, and I use that word all the time, but it is. And it's interesting because really this is the opportunity to see the truth of you in others. And so your invitation today is to pull back and observe your life, to observe everyone that is coming to you, to have conversation, to connect with you, to love you, to be with you, all of those things, and notice. If everyone in my life was a reflection of the truth of who I am, then who am I expressing in the world? Who am I? And this is a beautiful opportunity to notice the masks that we might play or the labels that might play a role in our life. It's funny, like I was thinking about the energy yesterday and I was just kind of tuning into it, and it was the labels that we take on to be true, right? And this may be rising up for you, right? I remember I used to work corporate and I worked for Canada Post and I was an expediter. And as an expediter, I played with the flow of the mail, right? And I remember I left under certain circumstances. And in my leaving, I moved through this huge awakening. It was a seed of my awakening to realize that I had perceived myself as Canada Post itself. And so in the letting go of the enmeshment of being a corporate employee, of being a leader in that space, I had to move through this grieving process to really come into discovering who I was. I wasn't Canada Post, but when I was working there, was under the guise that it could not survive without me. Like, fascinating, right? And so it's an invitation here to notice that as you are observing others, you will start to see the truth of you. But here's the key. The key is to pull back from it and to notice those places where people are complaining with you, where they're asking, where they're fighting with you, where they are arguing with you, where they are coming because they need you, where they're coming because they're trying to manipulate you, where they're trying to control you. It's just observing the truth of who you are. And this isn't the place to go and to respond, right? This isn't the place to act. It's the place to observe. Because with this observation, there's this opportunity to take the truth of who you are, the expression of you, higher, meaning the way that you communicate with another person, the way that you connect with another. We've been moving through this journey of shame, right? And so in this, today is your blessing, because you'll start to see the patterns that you have been running in your relationships, including your relationship to yourself, right? When you look in the mirror, do you see the truth of who you are? Or are you seeing through a distorted lens? You know, it's fascinating. A couple of months ago, I went to an experience with my family, and we were taking photos, of course, and we were all dressed up. And the moment I got into the place where we were having the event, it was interesting because my value, I started to feel lack. I started to feel lack in how I looked. I started to feel, you know, a little bit chubby, all of the things. And as we were taking photos, it was interesting because I would look at my reflection in the photo and see that I was like 5 pounds heavier, 10 pounds heavier. My face looked distorted, all of these things. And my mind was going, you know, what's happening while I'm here? What's happening in my photos? Like, this isn't me. And so when I got home, I came down and I went into my room and I looked in the mirror and I saw myself. There was me. And I actually said, whoa, where did you go? And so we have these distorted ways of seeing ourselves in our own reflection, right? Many of us can, you know, have heard stories of those who have had anorexia, where we can see that they are very, very thin. Some may be emaciated, but when they look in the mirror, they don't see that. And so there's an opportunity here to come into great awareness of that. At the same time, what you may be experiencing for yourself are these waves. Now, we have a lot of twos in the energy today. And twos are about connection. It's about our intuition. It's about, excuse me, feeling into what's happening in the collective, whether it's because you're paying attention to it, watching the news, noticing what's happening in China, noticing what's happening with the inflation rates, all of those things, or you're energetically feeling the waves. And so in the feeling of the waves, there's this, it feels like an energetic crash. It feels like an energetic wave that has to do with the economy, the breakdown of economy, that has to do with the breakdown of our, or an opportunity to see our own value. So as these inflation rates are going up, as we are starting to see what's happening in the news in all parts of the world with the economy, with wealth, with money, we can be inspired to feel our value. So there's an invitation today that as you are letting go of the shame, now remember, I said on Monday that shame, anywhere that you have shame in your life, you definitely have debt in your own financial life. And so as we are moving through this, and this is being triggered, your value is being triggered, your money is being triggered, your wealth is being triggered, those who are in this space where they are in good economy with their own value and with their own money, meaning that they are a steward of their own accounts, great. But those who are not can be feeling these waves, and they can be feeling the lack. They can be feeling as though there isn't enough. Where am I going to get the money to pay for the beef that I want? Because that's jacked up. Where am I going to get them? How am I going to get new clients if you know they're not making enough money? They can't afford me now. And so there may be in lack not an opportunity, but an action of, okay, well, I'm going to discount my prices, or I'm going to give, you know, these groups of 3 in this so that I can work with others, so that I can bring in more clients. But that's not the key. The key is to raise your value. And if you're raising your value and you're raising the economy of your own finances, then really the inspiration might be to raise your prices. And they'll land in the trust of that. Right. And so I can hear all of you guys, you're like, what? That doesn't make sense. Well, what if it didn't have to make sense? What if the value of who you were, what was calling in the clients, not your price point? And so it's noticing the truth of that. Like I've been noticing in my own experience that others have been coming and they've been talking about money. They've been talking about what's been happening in the world. I don't watch the news. I've been feeling the energy of it. And in this, seeing the mirror of the truth of who you are and how you express yourself in the world, you get to observe whether or not you're in it with them, or whether you're there and you're observing their experience of it, right? Have you ever had a friend who was, they used to interject themselves into the energy of something? Someone might come and they might say, oh my God, there was a car accident on the highway and blah, blah, blah. And they're talking about it as though they were in it. But really and truly, they were the observer of it, right? And so you get to notice today, and you get to allow this as a blessing to come into your awareness of where you interject yourself in another person's life and you take that on to be true, where you take on the burdens of others, right? We're looking at the true expression of who you are, and that gets to be mirrored back to you. And so today, your key is to observe. You're coming into awareness today. These are your blessings. Your blessings are your awarenesses. And so you get to see how you feel. You get to see if you're responding, if you're fighting to be right, if you're going to complain with all of your friends, and that's what you guys do, you're going to see the truth of you. And so just see it, just feel it, just notice it, just witness it, right? This isn't the time to act on it. Just witness. And so that is for today. And this energy continues to move forward, right? This is not it's not lateral, right? This is cyclical. And so as we move into Friday, now we're moving into this energy of, accountability. Did you pay attention today? Did you notice how you were experiencing yourself, right? Because now you have an opportunity to shift in that. There's this beautiful opportunity to come into, oh, I notice these things. I notice the truth of me. I notice where I took on this label. I notice where I'm playing in lack. I notice where I am putting on a mask. I notice where I'm doing all of these things that are not me. And so here's a whole host of these patterns that don't serve me. And rather than thinking that you're fucking broken, or thinking that there's something wrong, you're coming into, okay, I'm shifting my perception of me. I have always been whole. I have always been complete. I have always been valuable. I have always been loved. I am love. But there are parts of me that have perceived it differently. There are distortions that are rising up so that I can see the truth of me, which I am this full expression, the full expression of wholeness, of value, of love, and whatever else there is, whatever else it is that you want, right? To come to this place of knowing that you are limitless. And so in this, there's this nurturing of the mind, right? There's this opportunity to not go and connect with others because there's this desire to connect with others, right, today. But there's this opportunity here to nurture the self, to nurture the mind, to nurture how you communicate back to yourself, to release any judgments that you have, any places where you might complain to yourself, so that you can come into this place of it's like weeding, it's like going through the weeds, right? This energy today, you're at the Ace of Clubs, where it's like, okay, I noticed all of these things. I got all of these weeds that rose up on Thursday. And now I'm really coming into a better idea of what I want and who I am and how I want to express myself. Do I want to be true to me? Am I willing to be true to me? Am I willing to notice where all of these places were places of self-betrayal, right? Where you forgot your wholeness, where you forgot your value, where you forgot that you were loved. And so now in this place of, oh, hold on, I am all of that. Now you get to come into this place of, okay, so I'm willing to express that out in the world. I'm discovering that my purpose here on Earth with all of these other humans is to discover who I am. And that this entire time, this whole journey that I have been living led me in places where I forgot, led me to places where I might have doubted. But really and truly, this is an opportunity on Friday to come back home to you. And isn't that beautiful? Right? And so there's this, like, there's so many opportunities here to really leap and to really trust in, okay, I can hear the thoughts. If I am me, I might be willing to lose some people in my life. But in the losing of people in my life, it's because we no longer are a match. Because now we're starting to play with the law of attraction and aversion. And so if people aren't coming, it's because they're not choosing. And if they're not choosing, it may be because you're no longer energetically a match, right? If all of these people were here and they were mirroring the truth of who you were, and you've discovered that you are a person that loves to complain with others, and you like to, you like to champion the complaints, you want to win in the complaints, right? Commiserate over our misery. And you discover, oh, wait, hold on, that doesn't feel good. And that's not something that's something I no longer want to do. Then you can be sure that some of those that love to commiserate in the misery might fall away in your relationships. And so it's the willingness to be the fullest expression of you, knowing that it's possible that things or people might fall away, but in the falling away, it may create the space, right? Because that's a really big fear that's unconscious that many of us have running. And so your key today is to decide, is to choose, is to decide to be this, I don't like to use the word higher version, but yeah, to express this deeper version of you, right? As we let go of these masks, we start to see ourselves, we start to perceive ourselves differently. And so it's not within us that changes, it's our perception of us within that changes. And in that perception of within that changes, it actually changes our physical body, it changes our physical experiences, as within, so without. So today, you're going to feel the accountability. Are you willing to be accountable to you? Are you willing to choose to live? We all came here to choose to live. We all came here to decide that we were going to live the life that we desired. And our purpose is to fulfill that, to fulfill ourselves, to fulfill how we see ourselves, and to move that out into the world in what it is that we want to create, meaning creating our experiences. And so there are opportunities here to create massive experiences with wealth, regardless of what's happening in the economy, right? And so it's the willingness to choose today. Now we move into, like, you can feel the accountability energy, because on Friday, you can feel the energy that's flowing through you, because many of the times on Friday, especially if you work in corporate, right, and you have an office job, you want to get all of the things done before the weekend. Well, this is the same energy. Are you going to get yourself done, right? Are you going to choose yourself? Are you feeling that desire or that inspiration? It might even feel like a kick in the pants. Will you choose you? And it's okay if you don't, right? And it will come back around again as an invitation. We are here to evolve. We are here to be the fullest expression. Because now on Saturday, we move into heart's energy, which I love. So we're moving from the mind and we're coming into the heart. And so we came to all of these awarenesses over the last couple of weeks to now bring that into coherence with our hearts, with our love for ourselves. And so as we come into this energy, we're moving into King of Hearts 3. And so I love that, because in the decision that you are making about yourself and the expression of who you are, there's this opportunity to amplify and move out that expression in the world. Now, the expression energetically, maybe not necessarily face to face, but in that opportunity, in that energy that is within you, where you're deciding to master yourself, where you're deciding to be the truest expression of yourself, you'll come into this energy of integrating that within your own body at a cellular level, right? Everything that you decide, everything is in connection and symbiosis of one another, right? Body, mind, emotion, spiritual, all of that are the 4 pillars of your own well-being and of your own wholeness. And so as you're moving through the space of integration, you may notice that what may be integrating today is your emotions. And so in this integration, there may be some flow of emotions as you come into this place of, it feels like regulating your own nervous system, right? And so there's an opportunity here to really come into, okay, as I'm integrating, there's an aspect of my life that's really allowing myself to see it so that I can focus my attention there. So it feels like we want so many things. I want wealth, I want the lover, I want the house, I want the business. But there's a pull here to bring your focus into one thing. If I could focus today to integrate on something, what is it that is being inspired to come into integration, to come into me? Because in that one focus, you really start to anchor into the wholeness of who you are. And so just notice which aspect in your life is wanting to come into wholeness today. And that's your job. Like, that's the key for you today. The key for you today is to notice the places where you feel separate, where you feel separate from others, where you feel separate from your own money, where you feel separate from your bank accounts, where you feel separate from your clients, and to bring that integration into within, right? So let me use better words. So if we're coming into this place of you're discovering who it is that you want, or you're discovering who you are, the truth of who you are, not who you want, the truth of who you are, and you are now moving your focus into, okay, well, I want to play with massive amounts of wealth. But you have noticed that you've been triggered in the last little while when getting a bank statement, or when another expense comes in, or all of and whatever those things are, the mundane things that come in day-to-day life, right? And so when you notice that trigger is really an opportunity for you to break through, right? It's the seed of your breakthrough. And so it's an opportunity for you to move through that trigger so that you can come back into harmony with it. So you can see that you're not separate from your money. As within, so without. And so it's the noticing. We don't go outside for the things. We go inside first, meaning that we want to feel the feeling of wealth within our body. We want to feel the feeling of love within our body, of value within our body. You know, I'm going to play with this question with you. You know, what does $1 million wealth feel like in your body? Is your body open to that? Because if your body isn't open to $1 million wealth, $1 million value, then you're going to want to start to play with possibilities. Because if $1 million were to come in your direction, well, because you already feel separate from it, you're in that energy of lack, then you probably won't see it in your reality or your experience, or you might look for reasons as to why you can't accept it. I.e., if I have lots of money, people will come and try to take it. Right? So today is to notice what area of my life is wanting to integrate into wholeness with me. Right? Yeah. Beautiful. And so, interesting, there's another message that came through, and I'm feeling like that is not necessary. Oh, yes, it is. Okay. So with triggers being your breakthrough, if every trigger that you have is an opportunity to break through, it is an opportunity to come into this space of like seeing the truth of who you are, right? And so today you might notice your triggers. And there are many of those in the spiritual community, whatever that means, who blast love and light. Oh, love and light is bullshit. Like, it doesn't actually do anything. Like, why? It's so pansy. It's so rainbows and unicorns. And I want to pull back from that. Love and light. Love and light is the biggest gift that you can give yourself. Because to be in love with yourself and to be the witness of who you truly are, to be willing to go into yourself, to see the truth of who you are, to see where you're lying, to see where you're betraying yourself, to see where you think you're not good enough, to see where you're holding on to your traumas so that you can stay in the pain, to see where you are holding back from being you and more. Well, then now you're just bypassing life. And now you're just bypassing your emotions. Your emotions are a trigger to allow for you to see who you are. That's it. You don't need the story that's attached to it, nor do you need to connect it to a story. It's just awareness. And so as you're living your life and you're receiving these triggers and you're seeing the feedback, if you are feeling an emotion, if you have a thought that you do not like and it's attached to an emotion, then you want to feel it. You want to face it, you want to feel it, you want to free it. Love and light is facing yourself and seeing the truth of who you are. That's your purpose. That's your soul's purpose. And so, are you willing to be that? Are you willing to turn on the light within your own thinking, within your own emotions, within your own physical body, within your own spirituality? Because the science speaks to the biophotons that are in our body. We are light. And that when we start to turn the light within ourselves, we have 13 billion 9-volt batteries, or 3 billion 9-volt batteries within ourselves, within our physical body, that turns on energetically. And so you are light. And the love just amplifies it. So, I don't know who that was for. Love it. Any questions, any comments, please feel free to share. Please let me know if this resonates with you. I'm going to guess this is a long message, and I appreciate you staying with me all the way to the end. Wishing you all the most amazing weekend and so much love, and I will see you in the spaces. Bye for now.